People often say that trust is the foundation of any strong relationship. I used to believe that if you truly loved someone and gave them your heart and loyalty, they would never betray you. My name is James, and this is a story I never imagined I would have to tell. I was married to Sarah, my high school sweetheart and the love of my life. We had the kind of relationship that people admired. Our friends and family saw us as the perfect couple, solid, loving, and always supportive of each other in every way. I considered myself incredibly lucky to have her, and I believed, with every fiber of my being, that she felt the same about me. But everything changed on one fateful night, the night that shattered my entire world. It was the night I discovered that the woman I had trusted most in this world was hiding a secret, one that would tear my life apart. Let me take you back to the beginning, to a time when everything seemed so perfect. Sarah and I met when we were both teenagers. She was a rare mix of beauty, kindness, and intelligence, and from the moment I first saw her, I felt an undeniable pull towards her. We became inseparable quickly, sharing everything, our dreams, our fears, and our deepest secrets. We attended the same college, graduated together, and by the time we had both established ourselves in our careers, we were planning our wedding. The day I married her remains the happiest day of my life. I stood there, looking at her in her white dress, thinking to myself, this is it. This is the woman I will spend the rest of my life with. As the years went by, we built a life together. We moved into a small house in a quiet neighborhood, found stable jobs, and began talking about starting a family. From the outside, everything seemed perfect. Friends would constantly comment on how lucky we were to have found each other, how rare it was to have a love as strong as ours. And I believed it. I truly believed that we were different, that our love was something special, something that couldn't be broken. But now, looking back, I see how blind I was, how much I had chosen to ignore, all because I wanted to believe that the woman I loved would never hurt me. The changes were subtle at first, so small that I almost didn't notice them. Sarah began staying late at work, telling me that her job was becoming more demanding. She worked in marketing, and she explained that there were new projects and deadlines that required her to stay late or come in on weekends. I didn't question it. She was ambitious and driven, and I respected her dedication. However, her late nights gradually became more frequent. She would come home hours after her usual time, explaining that she had gone out for drinks with friends or stayed back to finish some last-minute project. She brushed it off as nothing significant, telling me not to worry and that it was all part of her career. Initially, I didn't think much of it. We both had our own lives, our own careers, and I trusted her completely. I believed she would tell me if something were wrong. But then, I started noticing small things, things that didn't quite make sense. She was always on her phone, even when we were together. She would be texting or checking messages, and sometimes if I walked past, she would tilt the screen away from me or put the phone down quickly. She would laugh at something on her phone, and when I asked what it was, she would say, "Oh, it's nothing," and quickly change the subject. These small things planted a seed of doubt in my mind. The distance between us grew, slowly but surely, almost without me realizing it. We used to talk about everything, but now our conversations felt forced, like she was only half listening. I'd ask her how her day was, and she'd give me short, almost robotic answers, like she didn't really want to talk about it. I tried reaching out to her, asking if something was wrong, but she always brushed it off, saying she was just tired or stressed. I convinced myself it was just a rough patch, that every relationship goes through ups and downs. But deep inside, a feeling in my gut told me something wasn't right. One night, she came home after midnight. She had told me earlier that she was going out with some friends from work, but when she walked through the door, her hair was slightly disheveled, her makeup was a little smudged, and there was a faint scent of perfume on her that I didn't recognize. I tried to shake it off, to tell myself I was overthinking it. I didn't want to become the suspicious husband, jumping to conclusions without solid evidence. But that feeling, that gnawing unease, refused to go away. The next morning, when she was in the shower, I did something I never thought I would do. I picked up her phone. My hands were trembling as I unlocked it, my heart pounding in my chest. I didn't want to find anything. I wanted to prove to myself that it was all in my head. But there on her phone was a message from someone named Mike. It was from the previous night, and it read, "Last night was amazing. Can't wait to see you again." My heart sank as I read those words. I scrolled up, reading through their entire conversation, and with every word, my world came crashing down. They had been meeting up for weeks, maybe even months. He told her how beautiful she was, how much he missed her, how much he was looking forward to seeing her again. And her replies, they cut through me like a knife. She told him he made her feel alive, that she couldn't stop thinking about him. I put the phone down, unable to process what I had just seen. My entire world felt like it was collapsing. I wanted to believe there was some kind of explanation, some reason why those messages didn't mean what they seemed to. But deep down, I knew the truth. The woman I loved, the woman I had trusted with my life, was betraying me with someone else. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying our entire relationship in my mind, trying to figure out how I had missed the signs. How had I been so blind? The next day, I confronted her. I couldn't keep it inside any longer. I asked her who Mike was, trying to keep my voice steady, though I could feel the anger building inside me. She looked startled, caught off guard, but quickly recovered, brushing it off like it was nothing. She claimed Mike was just a friend from work, someone she occasionally talked to. But when I pressed her, her story began to fall apart. She became defensive, accusing me of not trusting her, of invading her privacy. She tried to turn it around on me, making me feel like I was the one in the wrong. But I couldn't ignore what I had seen. I told her I had read the messages, that I knew the truth. She looked at me for a long moment, and in her eyes I saw everything. She admitted to the affair, but then she tried to justify it. She said she had been feeling lost, unsure of how to tell me. She said it was just a fling, that it didn't mean anything, that she still loved me. But how could I believe her? How could I trust anything she said after what I had seen? The love I had for her, the trust I had built over years, shattered in an instant. I felt betrayed, humiliated, like everything we had shared together was a lie. I couldn't stay. I packed a bag and left, not knowing where I was going, just that I couldn't be in that house any longer. The days that followed were a blur of pain and anger. She tried reaching out, sending me messages, leaving voicemails, begging for forgiveness, saying she would do anything to fix things. But the trust was gone, broken into pieces that could never be put back together. In the end, I learned that sometimes the hardest thing you can do is walk away. Trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to rebuild. And even though the pain was almost unbearable, I knew I couldn't stay in a relationship built on lies and betrayal.